Is this thing on? Hello, hello. Good morning, Vanessa. How are you? Honeybee, hello. Good morning. Peace. What's up, James? Frank, what's going on, Frank? Thank you so much for your feedback. I'm always switching between mics because I've been doing a lot of PC gaming lately. And when I plug in my controller, it wants to access its own, I guess, sound card where you can plug in your headset directly into the controller. All right. How many of you guys have seen this document? Work's busy as fuck. Gonna participate best I can. Hope everyone is well. Well, Vanessa, I hope you have a really great day. Don't let anybody bring you down. Hey, Jillian. Hey, what's up, Grizz? Good morning, everyone. I hope all is well. I myself am very well. I hope you are. You got a new logo. Who is that? Is that Smokey the Bear? Good morning, Rhonda. Honey, you've seen it? Hey, Wanda. Good morning. Wanda, you seen this document here? Here, let's pull it up. State of Indiana versus Kagan A. Klein. Miami Circuit Court, Miami County, Indiana. Case number 52C01-2008-F4-000254. State's witness list and exhibit list. Too small to read? Yeah, we'll try to read it out for you. Zoom it in. Hey, Melissa. All right. So let's go through this. Comes now the state of Indiana by Courtney Allwine, deputy prosecuting attorney, and submits to the court the following list of witnesses and exhibits. Now, remember, this is not the Delphi case. This is state of Indiana versus Kagan A. Klein. So the witness list starting from A to T. So David R. Vito, Indiana State Police. I think he's the lead on the Delphi case as well. That could have changed by now. I know at one point it was Tony Leggett. And I think Jerry Holman was leading it at one point as well. Carol, does juvenile 10 mean 10 times juveniles, or is it that just an identifying name for one kid? When I read it, to me, it was the 10th victim. You know, maybe somebody who actually may know this person or may have other information, or maybe even be part of maybe something that was a little worse. Juvenile 10. Or was the juvenile 10 at the time? Patricia, good morning. Good morning, Chopper. Okay, so under David Arvito, we got Brian Bunner, Indiana State Police. Christopher D. Cecil, Indiana State Police. And I think that might be our DC in Keegan's transcript. Is Tony State's witness? I don't think so. Not that I know of. Tracy Kunstick, Indiana State Police. Josh Mahler, Indiana State Police. Jason Page, Indiana State Police. Brian Harshman, Indiana State Police. Jeremy Clinton, U.S. Marshal. Interesting. Nicole Robertson, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Now, she was part of the Delphi. She wrote up the Ron Logan probable cause affidavit. You guys remember her? She got a lot of things wrong in that. Well, I'm sure her and a group, wrote that up together, but she was the face of it. She even said the girls showed up at the trails around 1 o'clock. That was wrong. She also added in all this like hearsay from old girlfriends and things like that. You can't do that. It doesn't even read like it's legal. Hey, did you know Ron Logan? Yeah, I hate that motherfucker. Oh, okay. Come here. Let me have an interview with you. Do you know Ron Logan? Yeah, he's a great guy. Oh, okay. I don't want to talk to you. You're not going to help my cause. Easy Chopper. Tony is Jerry Klein. Yes. Well, they can't call his father. He's not alive. That's his real name, Jerry A. Klein. Let's see here. So Nicole Robertson, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Andrew D. Willman, perhaps. Also FBI. That's a new name to me. So this will give us an opportunity to look at him and his work, his resume, and see if he's been involved with the Delphi case, or maybe staying a little bit behind the scenes. Or unless this is one of the digital team, member of the digital team. Tiffany Hostetler, Miami County Sheriff's Department. Tara L. Holleran, MD. I think this might be the doctor he spoke with, perhaps. I know that he spoke with somebody extensively. Because of the transcripts, he mentions, oh, yeah, I told that lady, I told her, this is a real eye-opener. If you guys aren't familiar with the Keegan interview transcripts, you can go check out. I've done a bunch of videos on them. So if you want to go back and look that up, that might help. We go through them in detail. Vanessa says, Tracy is the ISP that KK mentioned speaking with in BM interview. I believe that one that he said told him to delete CSAM. Yeah, he did say that. I think that was him, though. Like, oh, she was telling him, you need to stop what you're doing right now. Like, you have a problem. Basically telling him that he's sick. You have a mental problem. And I think he used that as an excuse. I think he started to realize, hey, the part that I played in the Delphi case may actually get me in some big trouble. Like I may have only done this and I may have knowledge of who did it, but that, that has nothing to do with me. I'm just not a snitch. But I think along along the way of him communicating with his defense attorneys, they've kind of explained to him like, look, this is the fact of the matter. And I think that's what led to the whole search and of the Wabash River, and then eventually probably to somebody, and then that somebody to Richard Allen or directly. Or they knew about Richard Allen for some time and now they finally could move forward. Because maybe somebody came forward about Richard Allen, but they didn't have the best record themselves, I guess. Maybe they didn't feel like they can hold up as far as their character, and they needed something to back up what they were saying. All right. Barbara McDonald, CNN, HLN. We know her and Murder Sheets were kind of in a race together. Information. I think eventually they partnered up, and that's why we seen the Ron Logan affidavit, is because I believe Barbara had her hands on it, and the Murder Sheet had their hands on Kagan's interview transcript. You show me yours, I'll show you mine. So I think they grouped up over that. Barbara wanting to make a deal, she put in a lot of hard work, and I felt it would undermine her work. You know what I mean? This group, just because they had their hands on that document, I mean, anybody could have tried to gain fame off of that. I know two people, one including myself, who could have easily put out those transcript documents. That's how you guys got to know, like, we're not here for the clicks and all that shit. Sometimes it appears that way. The Cash App is up on the screen. I don't give a shit if you give money. There's money in there that I haven't touched. There's like $120 in there. Most of it came from the same person from like a year of donating. I mean, imagine, we're talking 2 weeks prior to the Murder Sheet dropping that. There's people that could have exploited that easily. My channel I would have had 30,000 subscribers or something like that. It would have been easy. But then that would have been it. That would have been it for my channel. People would have been like, oh, he exploited those documents. That's it. That's all. But I knew that I was worth more than that. Along the line, I was in it for the long haul. I still am. Tommy Baker. Hey, good morning, Fig. Good to see you. Another one of the good ones. I really don't trust a lot of people in this community, but Fig is definitely one of them. Good to see you. All right, let's continue on. So you got Barb because of her involvement with HLN and her communications with Kagan Klein while he was in jail. Maybe some behind the scene things as well. I'm not sure. Let's see, a representative from NCMEC. I'm not sure what that is. I'll look it up here in just a second. If somebody can beat me to it, great, or if they can let me know. NCMEC. I'm wondering if that's some kind of child protection or something that deals with children's affairs after crimes or something. Juvenile 10. Still not exactly sure what that means. Thinking maybe either, the 10th person or somebody who may have been 10 at the time. Yeah, it's definitely an identifier there at the end. So they must have a list of juveniles, and in order for everybody to, to understand specifically who they're referring to, that 10 just might be the identifier. Money made is used for the channel equipment pay sites for info. Shit, I spent more money out of pocket than I've made. Well, that's probably not true now because we're going on 2 years. I emailed Barb yesterday, no response yet. Yeah, I've been trying to lurk on her Twitter. She's usually very active, but ever since the Delphi stuff, she hasn't been as active as before. Hey, Katie. Allie Conklin. We know that's who Kagan was seeing, I believe, at the time of his arrest. She was mentioned in the transcripts. And apparently, when she found out what was going on, she basically shunned Keegan and wouldn't have nothing to do with him. So good for her. Dirk Hayes, we know who that is. Tony's neighbor, mentioned in the transcript. Jerry A. Klein, we know that's Tony Klein. This is a really strange one. Vincent Kowalski. So we know that's the model and the likeness used for the Anthony Shots account. And I had somebody clear this up for me. I think they hit it on the nail, or hit the nail on the head, even better. I think it was Sweets. Yeah, Sweets. She said, if I'm not mistaken, one of KK's charges is something related to digital identity theft. Boom. It became all clear. You can't have a crime without a victim, right? Well, I guess in some circumstances you can if there's enough blood and, enough evidence pointing to a certainty. National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Thank you. Yeah, I knew it had to be something along those lines. HLN isn't doing so well as an organization. Not sure how long it's going to be around, to be honest. Wow. I wonder why. I wonder what they're doing wrong. Their coverage of the Delphi case is pretty good. Gagged, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. But I mean, she's not gagged on her other stuff. To say he didn't give permission to use his photo, etc. Yeah, but it's weird to come to court. I mean, they already know that. He doesn't need to be called as a witness to prove that. So I'm assuming they'll just bring him up on like Skype or webcam and be like, do you swear that everything you're saying is, the truth, nothing but the truth? Yes. Okay. Did you give permission to this person to use your likeness? No. Okay. Thank you. Maybe something along those lines. P is saying, where did he live prior to his new job in Alaska? I'm not sure, but the only connection to Alaska in the Delphi case is Keegan Klein. If you remove Keegan Klein from the picture completely, the Delphi murder has no connection to Alaska. So, I mean, don't get it wrong. The first person I looked at was like, whoa, what if the cop really, is on it? Because sometimes people can play you because they know you're going to assume certain things. So people will play to that. Criminals will play to that. Hiding in plain sight. That's like hiding in plain sight 101. And that's why cops, I think, get away with a lot of stuff. But obviously that's ridiculous, But if you don't, you got to look at the things that most people would just assume otherwise. That's kind of why, if you need somebody to take a look at shit like that, you come call me. Just happens naturally. I don't like to assume. I don't like the wool to be pulled over my eyes. And sometimes that takes like wild speculation, strange theories, because I know that people are evil and I know that they can find another group of evil people and come up with evil things to do together, working together as a cohesive evil unit. It happens. And then there's some people that refuse to believe it and they'll say, oh, well, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist. You think the world's out to get you. You're paranoid. And I would say there is a little truth to that. I'm very paranoid. I tell myself that probably every day, like, you're being paranoid. But at the same time, being who I am, there's been a lot of circumstances in my life where I've been very proactive and prepared. And when those situations happen in life, it makes me happy and it makes it feel like it's all worth it. TK's voice email message said Alaska. Yes. But once again, Kagan Klein, the only connection to Alaska that Delphi has. There's no other connection that I know of. Fig says it's good to point out just because they are on the list doesn't mean they will be called. That said, Vince being on that list is silly. That's a really good point, Fig. Just because they're there just means they may be called. But yeah, him being on that list, I think it has to do with hey, if we're going to charge you with identity theft, we need a victim here. And Vincent probably was more than happy to be part of that, because he's been embarrassed. We're talking about him right now. We've said his name 3 times already. It's on the screen. The news put his name. I watched his name and this same document on the news. And we're going to play a couple of those clips here. So, I mean, yeah, he's a victim right now. He's like, hell yeah, I want to speak up for myself. If anything, I want this to stack right on top of those other charges for what he did. He hates Keegan Klein right about now. Okay. Who else? So we got Jerry Klein, Tony Klein. And here at the bottom it says any later discovered witnesses whose names will be provided to counsel for defendant immediately upon discovery. Yeah, so I thought it was very strange that the catfish cop's name was just sitting right there. Like, how embarrassing for him to have to go through that. It's kind of messed up.
Klein's father to testify against him in the child porn trial later this year. Jerry Klein is one of 19 witnesses submitted to the court by the Miami County prosecutor. The younger Klein faces trial in May on 25 child porn related charges. Prosecutors say he used the Anthony Shots social media account to get nearly 100 sexually explicit pictures and videos of underage girls. State police have linked that profile to the Delphi murders, but Klein has not been charged or named a suspect in that case. The witness list also includes a podcaster who interviewed Klein in jail and the Alaska police officer whose picture was used in the social media account. Klein is set for trial again in May.
They blurred him out. Fixes, yeah. I, Jade, don't want to see any more pics of Vincent. He makes me feel bad about myself. Sir, put that 6-pack away. Yeah, true that. Fucking Brad Pitt Jr. over here. If somebody has given a deposition, would they still appear as a witness? A deposition is considered witness testimony. It's a good question. Good to see you, Bossy. I don't know. I'm wondering if your written testimony is enough. Like if somebody was there to witness you do it, or maybe even signed below you. He's hot, but he's a baby. He's not a baby. He's like 30 now, I think. He's 30. He's a cop. He's like tenured. And he's still in shape. Yeah, that's messed up. He said Kagan Klein was not the only person to use his image, from his understanding, that others have done that in the past. So that just means like people go online and they're like, what do they, what would women think is a good looking person? Oh, Vincent. So they all pick the same guy. Freckle Joy says, I like my men older than me. Yeah, I think that's healthy. Not too much older. I don't know. I think anywhere between like 5 to 10 years. Of course, depending on where those years start. Of course, should be anywhere after 18. Hey, what's up, Joseph? Smash that like button, my brothers and sisters. Thank you. All right, I think Fox put
A
something
list of
out
witnesses they intend to call in the trial of
the questions I had, like what happened to them? How are you able to remove those charges? Is it because you yourselves opened up, the possibility of doubt with some of these by bringing in the possibility of other perpetrators, or do you know for a fact that these other victims uh, and other perpetrators were using the Anthony Shots account, and that Keegan was not responsible for some of those crimes?
a list of
June 15th for a bail hearing. You got it, Boston. Good to see you. So, and I also, if Kagan had anything to do with the Delphi case, I mean, I just don't know. Is he not facing any charges? Is that why they haven't brought it up? Um, are they pushing Richard Allen's case back and speeding this one up to get this one over with, so that they can then take Kagan and insert him into the other proceedings? Kind of like with Garrett Kurtz, they had to wait for the Bowen verdict and all of that, all that fodder to clear, and then boom, they smacked Garrett Kurtz with the Ray Hannish charge. So I wonder if that's what they're waiting for here. I'm not quite sure. Joseph says, did Kagan flip? I think he tried to. We know for a fact he was taken into ISP custody, taken to the Wabash River to help kind of point them in the right direction. As soon as that happened, they began searching. It was a 5-week search of the Wabash River. Not sure if they found anything. They didn't comment on it. I believe they were looking for a phone and a weapon, according to sources and what the media has been saying. We know shortly after that, they did a search on Richard Allen. 2 weeks later, he was arrested, and they did a press conference calling him the killer, but not calling him the guy on the bridge, and not really saying much other than others may be involved. Hey, Hybrid, this is the strangest case. Well, the thing that makes this case so strange and unlike any other is that it's constantly evolving. Last year, it was the strangest case. And then we have all these horrendous things that are happening across the country, across the world. And then there's still things going on with this case that continue to make it strange. It's evolving. It was already the strangest case last year, and it's like it's in competition every year to become even more stranger than the year prior. And I don't think we've seen anything yet. I mean, we still haven't heard anything about why the hell Richard Allen was in such a hurry, if he's guilty, why he was motivated to kill. And if he's out there on the bridge alone, that means that somebody else is laying in wait, right? So why the premeditation? And now that we see the premeditation, what's motivating you? I think that's going to be the biggest twist of this entire case. People are like, snuff isn't real. People aren't motivated to do strange things. But I've been in a room when I was a young teenager. I hung around with some really bad people. And I remember this because of this case. When you have things pop back up in your memory. I was sitting in a room with a friend that my parents hated. They always said I picked the wrong friends. And I did. I picked gangsters, and I was always, to me, it didn't look scary. There was just something wrong with me, I guess. But I was hanging around with this bad crowd, and an even worse person came through the door and offered somebody that I was with $10,000 cash to commit a murder. I was completely shocked. And I was even more shocked that later on in the day, that person admitted that they actually considered it. So that was a big wake up call for a 13, 14-year-old kid, you know? So to see something like that makes it possible to see people who are addicted to drugs sitting in a room. And now imagine the bad guy walks into the room. He's waving all these drugs around, he's waving all this cash around, and you have proven that you're bad. You know, he sees Kagan over here doing his weird porn shit on the computer. Over here, Richard Allen, he's has no criminal record. And not to say this one bad person is, I guess, recruiting a team. All they really need to do is recruit one or two people, and those other two people will go and recruit people that aren't even connected to the motivating factor. So I'm just saying there could be somebody dangling money and cash in front of a group that has proven themselves to be bad, like Garrett Kurtz. You know, they know he killed those people. All those other bad guys that he's hanging out with, they know they can trust Garrett Kurtz when they talk about murder, when they talk about showing videotapes of potential murders. Because what is he going to do? Is he going to tell on them? No, because he's a cold blooded killer himself. Okay, so now somebody imagine Mr. Big, quote unquote, walks into a room, dangles this money in front of these addicts and these killers and these pedophiles, these known rapists, and is like, if you guys do this and you bring me a video or you do this or do that, I'm going to give you all of this money. That may motivate addicts, people who need money at the time, Mr. Stock Ticker. You know, think about the crime of Thomas Jerome Bruce. You know, he was going through some hard times, losing jobs, bankruptcies, and then starts sipping back, you know, on that cough medicine. You got two people dead. Richard Allen, where did he work when? During the murders, he worked at the CVS. Hybrid says, this is at the Unsolved and good to see you Unsolved. I still, in my heart, not a good way to solve crime, I know, believe Papa K is head of or close to the fish. Mathis said Kurtz had a bunch of meth on him. That's interesting. I could see Garrett Kurtz committing a crime for a big bag of meth. Hey, Metal Mama, what's up? Good morning. Freckle Joy. A huge rock. Because, I mean, if Kagan Klein's not involved in the Delphi murders, that takes Vegas out. That takes TK's cop buddy out. That takes the whole kind of snuff idea out for me. Because to me, that's the motivation. That's the reason they were in Vegas. That's the reason they were on Craigslist. That's the reason they were, you know, they were communicating on different phones, burner phones, and then came right back. So I thought it was strange timing. You know, you're catfishing Libby around February 3rd. On the 13th, she's murdered. You communicated with her the day before the murders, maybe even the morning. 1 week later, you're involved in a ski mask incident. And then the day after that, you're in Vegas trying to meet people from Craigslist. It's all somehow it's tied together. Heavy meth addiction there cannot be ruled out as relevant. I mean, we beat our heads trying to find out what the hell is motivating somebody to do something awful. I mean, this case, I have no connection to it, and I've been talking about it for the last almost 5 years now. Something like this shouldn't happen. That's all I'm saying. Like I shouldn't not know who Becky Patty is. Ever. Should be a name that I never heard. Hybrid says this old couple case has thrown me for a loop. Well, if anything, we should learn from it. Definitely learned how rare these types of crimes are. So when people tell you, "Oh, why are you covering the Delphi case so much?" Because it's an extremely rare situation. On top of how scary it is, and I don't care who you are, especially for a grown man who thinks he's real tough. What's the best way to get to a grown man? Hurt his family. So all those big tough men, they got hurt in the worst kind of way. I feel bad for them too. It's like torment, I think. Snuff will still play up because Garrett Kurtz said they have a video. Yeah, I think all these killers are connected. And whether they're connected with the crime itself or not, I think they're connected through their lifestyle. You know, they can walk into a room and see Garrett Kurtz and know they can speak openly about a murder or about drugs or about a potential murder or a hit or things like that. You know, they know that Garrett Kurtz isn't going to do anything because they've probably seen with their own eyes him kill somebody. Arch Lux, welcome. What if Bowen's death had to do with this? Also, her death was about something not a boyfriend, girlfriend. It could be. There was another death that happened near Delphi in 2015 or 16. A guy had gone missing, but I think it eventually was said it was a suicide with suspicion or something like that. I have to take a look. I found it in my doing some research. Vanessa says, I've always considered money as motive, especially with KK. Well, I mean, if you're an addict and you're doing a lot of weird stuff for drugs, you know, stuff that you're not proud of, and somebody's dangling a bunch of drugs in front of you, you know, you might try to justify whatever it is that they're asking you for when you see that bag, thinking about all the bad things you would have to do to get that much, you know. I can do this one bad thing, get it over with, or I can go do a whole bunch of bad things. Human trafficking. Yeah, it could have been. They could have been trying to snatch them. That could be the reason for the charges that they have. I think it has to do with committing a crime while you're trying to do another crime. So they could have just been trying to kidnap them. Became difficult, and then they killed them, or angry. Not sure. Hybrid says, honestly, the amount of us that have been invested in this case for literally 5+ years, it's amazing. It's not your average case. Yeah, it's not. And it's a case that every year seems to get stranger. We learn a lot about law enforcement, the way that they deceive the public. We also learn that they're not just deceiving the public or trying to deceive the public. They're trying to further a case. And sometimes they need to use us as tools. But we need to remember that. Boston says, I don't know, thousands of kids missing, dark web, very big, supposedly. Yeah, this could have been just another murder for a much larger group, and they just happen to use somebody who eventually got caught. And I mean, they could do this. They could go around the country doing this, recruiting bad people that are verifiably bad. Like, hey, I need you guys to do this for me. Yeah, we can do that. And then now we have missing people in another state who were part of a similar crime to Delphi. But maybe they're not found, or maybe they didn't have a phone that was left behind by somebody like Libby who was able to capture that. Whatever her motivation was to do that, she did it. That's audio and video. Hey, Whitney. I am well, thank you. I hope you're doing well. Well, Tina, I mean, I would say Richard Allen, but he would get caught. He would, unless he knows a way to do it. Freckle Joy says they have all done time together. Well, not Richard Allen. He was in a hospital, from my understanding. Yeah, I would hate to put people who are, a bunch of psychotic people in the same room together where they can conspire. Motive was to silence Libby. She had the K's all figured out. Yeah, it could be. Of all the Carter one-liners that we've all come to know by heart, the one that sticks with me is, "This crime is the totality of evil in my entire career." Yeah, and he's got to be talking about the crime scene. And I just don't understand, why would somebody who's just, lone wolf, spur of the moment, trying to commit a sexual assault, why would he do all this weird stuff at a crime scene? Is it because he knew him and he was panicked and he was trying to mislead? But why do all the weird stuff like the violent crime, and apparently there's a bunch of weird stuff done post-mortem? Like, why do all that unless you're not motivated? I don't know. Boston says all people in that trailer know why she's dead. Probably know the who, all of them. Exactly. May not be the only one. Just because they got caught on these don't mean that other missing people didn't die at their hands. Garrett Kurtz kills in a pack. Yeah, he seems to allow himself to like get underneath the control of people, maybe a girlfriend or somebody. That way he has an excuse. Oh, I told you I'd kill for you. Oh, that's why you did it? Oh, you're so sweet. For me, boxes probably come up missing all the time. We have learned a lot, the inner workings of law enforcement. Yep, I've learned tons. I learned a lot about DNA, forensics. Honeybee says, but BG did not bother to cover his face, so I'm inclined to believe that he did not intend for the girls to survive. I don't know. His face may be partially covered. But yeah, if it was covered, it doesn't appear to be covered on the bridge. So why uncover, right when you're at the victims? So yeah. Could be. Yeah, Tina, I don't know. That'd be a lot of boxes for it to be, that'd be very suspicious. Cameras everywhere. I don't think that that's a good source. You're better off stealing it, but I don't know. But they may have come up with a way to get away with it. When you're working back there and you know the system, might be a way to get around it. Might be easier for it to fall off the truck than to go missing at the store. Maybe they don't check it in. Because when you get boxes, they pull, big trucks come to the back of the buildings and they slide everything down on a conveyor belt that they pull up to the trucks. But everything that comes sliding down, those conveyors get scanned in. There's multiple people scanning. So I can see I think it would have to be the truck driver would have to be in on it as well, because they scan it and then it gets scanned. And then they have to match. There is no rehabilitation in the county lockup. It's just all the local criminals learning how to do better crime. They hook up on the outside and commit crimes together. Yeah, I can see that. A cooker. Well, Tina, how do you leave Richard Allen with all of this evidence pointing to him, and then you jump from that to a cooker? Like, how'd you get there? What would have been at that crime scene? What the hell? Is there other stuff similar on the dark web? Well, whoever tipped in the Stevenson case, law enforcement looked at that and they were like, well, yeah, there are some similarities. So I don't know if this is a trait from a certain group, but the thing that interested me about the Stevenson case was the non-secular part of it. The staging, positioning, the weird post-mortem stuff to the bodies. So I don't know if this is just behavior from a certain type of killer, if this is a behavior from a certain group that may operate in the United States or the world. It could just be one of those types of rare crimes. Because the FBI and these profilers and all these people, they really don't know a lot. They learn after. So if they were to catch the guy who committed the Stevenson case, they would then learn for future crimes. They would attempt to ask this person questions. What motivated you? Why were you doing what you're doing? Why do you operate the way that you do? I think Richard Ramirez used to leave signatures and write on the bodies and stuff like that as well. Hey, MK, totality of evil is killing 2 girls to save your CSAM loving ass. Weird stuff was to throw off law enforcement. I don't know. I don't see Kagan and Tony being like the ringleaders of all of this. Getting a group of people together to protect them. Unless they're part of a bigger operation and, the larger group is looking down at them like, hey, you guys are messing things up for us up here. So I need you to go take care of it or we take care of you. And that's a whole nother conspiracy in itself. But it has supporting evidence, like the largest pedal ring ever found. Investigators talking about it spiraling into this huge thing. So yeah, we have evidence to back up that theory. So at least we're okay to speculate on it. Hey, Steffa, I listened to Julia's latest video this morning. She really made sense of the similarities of the Stevenson and Delphi. It was an interesting way of thinking. I appreciated it. Hey, Snoopsy, hope you're having a great day at work. Good morning, Sassy. Garrett Kurtz is also an up-close and personal killer, leaving his DNA. And Nicole was just a measure of the type and amount of drugs in his system. I agree. Because he talks about, if I'm so good at it, why did I leave my DNA, this, and that? Probably because it was an emotional kill, drug-fueled kill. With Ray, he had time to plan it and think about it. Hey, Anna, witness deposition is likely not open for cross-examination by opposing counsel, so such witnesses will need to testify in court. The earliest rumors were Libby was going to the police the next day, and the catfishing angle. Law enforcement is who shut that down. Why, though? Throw off the perps, maybe? We have so many crumbs of misinformation that it's hard to sort out Delphi. If Libby was going to police, surely law enforcement would have homed in on entities like Anthony Schatz rather than Ron Logan. I agree with that. Because they didn't even find Anthony Schatz until the ski mask incident was reported. And that was weeks. Yeah, and Garrett Kurtz, he's a strangler. So if we find out the girls were strangled and, as well, then he's going to play a bigger part. But I think with Garrett Kurtz being charged with the Hainish murder, he could be facing the death penalty. So if he knows anything about Delphi, it's going to come out, especially the talk of the videotapes. They might call Ashley. They're going to ask her about that. Like, what's going on with these videotapes? The whole Nick Edwards and all that stuff. Daisy's asking, what's the item mystery person possesses related to the Stevenson case? Yeah, and why were they looking? Where were they looking? Fort Wayne, I think. They weren't looking in Delphi. They were looking at somebody connected to Delphi in Fort Wayne who had an object. So I'm sure there's certain people who tip in because of the case. That's what we do most of our times. We look for connections and other cases that might be related. But I mean, there could have been multiple tips in on that case. And why did they have knowledge of a specific person? Why did they have knowledge of a specific item that was with that person? And why did a tip about Delphi lead them to Fort Wayne? See, so I think there's a very specific tip that came in about a person and an object. And then just along with all these other tips, letting them know like, hey, this is very similar to Delphi. So you got them already looking at that like, yeah, similar, but I'm not really convinced yet. And then boom, here comes another tip with an item that's related to Delphi. Now, that's enough. Like, hey, let's put some man hours in this follow-up on this. Has Paul Holes worked on this at all? I don't know. We know he was in Delphi, and I think it was like a week after he was in Delphi, they arrested. I think it was 2 weeks or a month after. But he was in Delphi, and then shortly after, they were arresting Richard Allen. So he could have consulted with them, like, hey, I just wanted to stop by and see how things are going. I made a list of things that I think you guys should make sure that you're looking at. These are some of the early mistakes that happen with cold cases and some of the things that I found along my way of investigating cold cases that you might want to start at. Maybe the misfiling of information even. So I always wondered if Paul Hull just gave him like a couple pointers, like make sure you guys, everything was filed correctly. Make sure you're doing this. Because sometimes, even though it's an important thing to do, you can overlook it. You have a million things you gotta look at. Would be easy to overlook something like that. Something that you put in the back of your mind, like, okay, I already looked at all this stuff. No need to come back to this right now. I filed it properly. It's filed over here. And I'm not focused on that pile. I'm focused over here on the solid information. But it just so happens that something that should have been over here in solid slid over and got lost in that pile. Maybe Paul Holes or someone similar to him said, hey, go check that pile again. What would it hurt? Don't put one of your big, your main investigators on it, but send a group of people, just to go through it. What could it hurt? Ron was not a farmer and would not have anhydrous ammonia on his property. I think he was a farmer. Usually when you have horses and things like that, you're a farmer because you're planting like the alfalfa and all the stuff that they eat. You got to plant that out there. So I don't know. But we are going to get out of here in just a few minutes, guys. She was not saying the Stevensons are related. It was that they had the same why questions. Yeah, I agree with that. It's only 3 minutes. Check it out. I appreciate how she keeps her mind thinking. Is used in agriculture, nitrogen soil, especially used in cornfields. Corn depleted nitrogen. Yeah, I probably have some of that in my nutrients on a really smaller scale. I'll have to take a look. Gris says if Nicole was going to snitch on the drug operation, why would she trust Garrett Kurtz to go to that property? Maybe she was going to say something about the Delphi stuff even. Amanda says, I have had some courtroom experience. I have no legal training, but I once had to fight a dirty city government. Yuck. I hope you were successful. Digital DG was also arrested for stealing fertilizer. I read that. I think it's on his report. But I think the charges and the case was dismissed. I could be wrong. I'll have to read it again. For sure, Rory. I hope you're having a great day at work, too. Item, pick or film. I don't think it would be pick or film, because if it was a pick or film, I think he would have received charges, and it would have been a national event. Because if he has pick or film, that means he didn't just find it on the ground, you know? He would have to tell them where he found it, or they would assume that he took it himself. And he could be charged, probably even. So I'm thinking it was more like a certain item, maybe a ritual item, maybe like a dagger or something. Or a symbol, some type of symbol. I'm not sure. MK says, digital, why would Ron have that type of fertilizer? He did not grow anything, and not to scale where that would be required. Come on now. He had a farm and he had animals. Usually you grow your own food, right? For your animals. And he lived on a farm. So I don't know. I think he's got something growing somewhere around there. It's unrelated though, so it's pretty moot. Yep, I agree. Is that crossing the creek was never part of the plan for the victims or attackers? Sort from there. I don't know that for sure. I wonder how Garrett Kurtz is feeling about his new charges. I hope he rots. I hope they put him in the gas chamber. Or do they do that anymore? Was it lethal injection? Piece of shit. Hey, Deb. Good to see you. Yeah, I don't know that much about farming. The killer plan would doubtfully have been to cross the water in February. It was flurries that morning. I don't know. I mean, it's not that big deal for a grown man to walk through cold water that's knee high. It's really not that big of a deal, especially in the middle of the day on a sunny day. Hybrid says, I don't believe the misfiled statement at all. Either do I. I feel like that could be the corrupt hand that we're sensing, but I could be wrong. I don't want to go around accusing somebody. People make mistakes, but it's not only the mistake that was made; it's the after the mistake. It's the 5-6 years of news coverage with pictures of the guy that you talked to. It's just it's a pill. It's a pill that I can't swallow. Hey D, thanks CJ. Well, you guys make it that way, so I appreciate you. But in the end, they lost big time. Good. All right, guys, I'm trying to go through all these last little comments here, and then I got to get out of here. When is Ruckus live scheduled for? I think he has one on Friday. Usually, I just keep a lookout on his community page, and he keeps all the updates there. So I just keep a lookout for that. But I think his interview with, who is it, Coy Cox from the Stevenson case, he's going to be hanging out with him tomorrow. So that should be interesting. The farmers here are soybean, corn, and sunflower. Ron Logan would buy his feed. You won't have that large amount of chemicals for a small alpha patch. Farmers have acres of just farmland. Yeah, and I didn't see too. He has farmland. He has acres. I mean, there's a farm. He has a cornfield right next, in between him and, or he has a place where he can plant crop between him and the cemetery. So the charges that you guys are talking about, I think, went way back in 2014. So, I mean, at some point he could have been farming. I don't know. Maybe he had a big old cornfield right there. Maybe not in the last 10, 15 years, but who knows before then. At 1 o'clock on Friday. Ron Logan tucked his pant legs into rubber boots. Bridge guy would have gotten soaked. And his shoes would have squished till he could get dry shoes. Yeah, if he's going down the hill, Ron Logan knows he's going over the creek. So he would have had them damn boots on. And what the hell is he doing on the bridge anyway? He just got, his old ass just got back from the dump. He's not taking that long ass walk. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not saying that he's not potentially involved in some way. I don't see it. But he's not the guy on the bridge. Technicality. Hey, Deb, Nicole may not have known that Garrett knew she was going to tell. Yeah, that's a good point. That poor girl. Steffa, I'm behind. My opinion is not popular. I'm not buying the Richard Allen angle. I think if he is involved, it's a small role, but what they found in his search is critical. I think that's a good stance. Because I'm not sure about the muddy and bloody stuff yet. But even if he was muddy and bloody, he could have been helping with the staging and all of that. He's still going to try to do the interview tomorrow. Yeah, I think it's a go. Illustrious Deb. I like that. The illustrious Deb. Ron had 40 acres, is my understanding. Yeah, a lot of it's like hardwoods, though. That's a lot of it's the stuff you see him walking through with the news crew, walking towards the crime scene. Gris says, in my opinion, Ron Logan role was the fall guy. Yeah, it would have been very easy, to pin it on him. Think if they would have just planted like a little bit of blood in his home from one of the victims, and they were never caught on the bridge, he would be in prison right now for a double murder. That's how easy it would be to set somebody up. Ron Logan had a big field that was used to grow crops. You can see it even in Google Pics. Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. So I don't know if he was farming at the time, but he definitely had land to farm and most likely farmed at one point. But like one of you guys said, it's a moot point. What difference does it make? Even if 100 meth heads stole from his property 100 times a year before the crime, it doesn't make it connected. Even if it was DG. Thank you, CN. CN with the super sticker. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Let's see. I would be a terrible farmer's wife. I can't keep a plant alive. I can cook, mediocre at cleaning. I am, however, very entertaining and can save your life with my badass nursing skills. See, you would make a perfect farmer's wife because you don't need to do the farming. He just wants, well, I guess the cooking might be the bad part. You would think a farmer would want to come back and just have a meal. So if you work on that, it'd be perfect. And then he almost chops his toe off out there in the farm. Oh, I'll take care of you. Nurse him back to health. Boom. Ruckus is also going to chat with Alex V soon. Best interview so far is on podcast Just the Tipsters. Stevenson case. Law enforcement know the links. We just need to wait. Thank you for your service, Steffa. Nice. His old ass. What's his old ass doing on a bridge after going to the dump? I ain't buying that shit. Yeah, me too, Grizz. My wife knows that too. She spoils me. Hey, Miss Kitty. All right, guys. Sorry, but I am out of time. I got to get out of here, get my day going. You'll see me on channel 2 later if you guys want to hang out. I'll leave a link for that in the community page. I had air fried potatoes and over easy eggs and toast with some Tabasco sauce and a large cup of coffee. I'm actually on cup number 2 now. And if you want to know, it's just black. No cream, no sugar. Hey, Miss Persevere. Good to see you, as always. The PCA clearly states Richard Allen did the killings. I wouldn't say clearly states. Definitely had a big role. Indiana soil is crap. A lot of clay, lots of pulling, water during rain. Well, there's a lot of farming that goes on in Indiana. Haven't seen CD in a while. He's got young babies. He's busy. Most likely RL rented out his land to farmers. It's what a lot of people do here. Yeah, I can see that. Definitely see that. Why would you let all that land go to waste? Just give me 5%, 10%, and we're good. See you all day. I am thinking of having an angel biscuit with honey and butter. That sounds yummy. Boiled egg and soldiers. What's up, Nora? Nora Gillino in the house. Support with Steph. I sure miss biscuits and bacon gravy. Not since my lifestyle changed. I don't know. I mean, is it something with your gallbladder? If not, if it's just for health reasons, you should be able to eat whatever you want for breakfast. I've been losing weight like crazy, and I make sure to eat a huge breakfast, and I snack a lot too. That helps. Healthy snacks. Bonnie says, or maybe since the girls were still alive, there was a fight and Rick didn't want to kill them, or BG didn't want to kill them yet. That's what I was wondering. I was wondering if that's the reason there was an unspent shell casing there, and why the guy on 300 looked like he was in a fight. Maybe he was in a fight. Maybe somebody recruited Richard Allen. Hey, I need you to help me. I need you to sheepdog these victims down the hill. And then when he gets down the hill, this guy starts doing all this creepy shit, starts, shows that he is a true madman. And Richard Allen tries to stop him, gets his ass beat. The guy takes his gun from him, unracks the bullet that's in there. Maybe he was even pointing the gun at him, like at the killer, the other killer. And the killer beat his ass, took his gun, and then unchambered the round, and then gave him his gun back. But to me, that would be like the only reason you would unrack it. Either that or trying to threaten the girls, like put your hands behind your back. And they're like, no, no, no. And then he chambers around, that loud sound of that hammer might be intimidating. That's the only other way, in my opinion. Railroad, what's up? Quit hanging out the passenger side of your best friend's ride, trying to holler at Sleuth. Hit the like button. Don't be a scrub. D. Ashley CD had been on with Sonny the last couple lives. I haven't talked to him. Hey, Julianne, you're welcome. Grizz, thanks for hanging out. It's always good to see you, buddy. Hybrid, thank you. Be good, kids. Love you all. Chopper, peace out, buddy. Rebecca, that sounds delish. Miss Persevere, see y'all. And Sleuth, glad I got to hang out. And it's always good to see you. You got it, Susie. Thank you guys for entertaining my questions. All right, we'll just throw these ones up on the screen in case anybody wants to pause it and read them. But I got to get out of here. Joseph, what up? What up? Nothing's wrong with him. I think he's got babies, little babies. I'm sure when he finds time, he'll jump on. Scrambled eggs, bacon, and cheese grits. Oh, damn. FYI, ruckus at 1 p.m. tomorrow Eastern time. We're gonna hear it from the horse's mouth. Thank you, CN, for all your support. You're awesome. Hey, Sophia. Joseph with the super sticker. Thank you. So we had CN red flags with the super sticker and Joseph. Wow. Thank you, guys. You got it, Miss Thang. All right, guys. On that note, I'm out of here. I appreciate you guys hanging out and participating in the chat. If you're catching a replay now, please leave a comment. We will get back to you, right, group? They said yes. All right. On that note, have a great day, and I'll see you later. Peace.